All right.
Okay.
On.
I know.
I love doing these podcasts in general, but when it's somebody like you, it's extra fun because we've known each other for a million years and we're old enough to say 30 plus years.
I know.
I love telling everyone that I met with you punching you in the face. This guy's a freaking badass boxer. And that was 30 some years ago. Yeah, I know you're still going to do it again. So introduce yourself with what you do. You are an amazing entrepreneur. I mean, I met you with your antique furniture dealership back in San Francisco. You have your own amazing podcast. Talk about that for a minute. Cluster Bravado with your amazing partner, Elise. Give everybody a sense of who this amazing debonair Frenchman is.
I don't know, but it's been a ride. I met you because we were both in the food industry, restaurants.
Yeah.
So I met you at Sweet 32 years ago.
With World Wraps. That's what you were.
So that was one life, which I adored. And, I'm still passionate about food. And then I switched to antiques, and that was my bringing those, and so we had an antique store in San Francisco and LA, and we followed each other kind of, which was very funny. You moved to LA, I moved to LA, moved back to San Francisco, I was in San Francisco. But yeah, the antiques was fun. That was 20 years of my life. And then gradually we started making with my business partner furniture. So that's the third stage. Is the furniture line.
And the furniture is, he has this amazing apartment and in Koreatown, which he was there way before everyone else knew it was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Way before.
I used to invite people and they were like, Place La Brea. I'm like, oh yeah, way Place La Brea.
It's like back in the San Francisco days. There is a life beyond the marina. You can cross to Lombard. It's okay. Yeah, but your place is truly a showpiece and the furniture is, it's such a crazy world because to me, the furniture you do and the way you curate the space with artists, sculptures, it's next level. When you're there, you just feel differently. Talk about how that environment that you've created affects, your daily quality of life and the work you do. Be specific about, you create masterpieces and where can, people check that?
Our motto, and, I did that with Kimberly. Our motto was to create furniture that's really comfortable, that will last for a long time. That's part of it is why I'm bringing in the antiques where I've been selling pieces that are 200 years old, but needs to be restored and repulsive. But I'm imagining our pieces the same way. In 100 years, someone will be like, yeah, that thing is still sturdy enough. Let's repulsor it. So that was our big motto.
I actually love that. I've never heard you say that. And that's brilliant. In 100 years, I want somebody to go, this beauty needs to be refinished because it's timeless.
And I think that, part of it is eco-conscious for sure. Even though, to make it, it's we're not green, but I don't want it to be thrown in, the landfill. I'm hoping that whatever we make will be sold and resold and, eventually. The other part of it is, I was thinking last week, I do everything for people. I have to accept
hospitality, Gene.
Exactly.
Maybe we both have it.
I have to accept the fact that, people are my motivator, because I don't know, someone asked me why I'm doing all that stuff and I'm like, I don't know. I just get up in the morning and go. But the food, the hospitality, it's like, I loved having people in the restaurant. They were, my guests. But now the furniture is the same thing. It's like I provide furniture for people in their house and I care. The apartment where I built a community of designers. I think that, because I've been around long enough now that I have a pretty big community, and it's just because I love those people. I've known their kids and I know, it's like they come to dinner and that's what I create.
But what's so brilliant too, I just love it. I'll never forget, we've always known each other. I've always loved you, even though we don't have a ton of time together. Right. Life is life.
Life is life, yeah.
We're busy, but you get invited to dinner at your place. It's not like what people expect. You walk in and first of all, you're like, where have I been transformed to? Where's that time machine elevator that I just came out of?
Right.
And then you're doing these perfectly coddled eggs with caviar and all these little handmade delicacies that are just each bite is like, don't talk to me for a minute. I'm enjoying this. And that's what's so special because then the furniture and all the stuff that you're actually, I never felt like you were trying to sell anything.
No.
You just create an environment where people go, I want to replicate this.
And I think that that's what I imagine when, if we work on a project on a larger scale, so doing, a design, a room or a house, it's a lifestyle. It's like, have people over, enjoy your life, have that quality of life, turn on the lights at night and, just sit there and relax and have I enjoy your life. And that might be a little bit the European way. I mean, we talked
It's the
briefly
right way.
before the podcast about, the lifestyle, the difference of lifestyle in Europe. And it's, for me, it is important to sit down at home, have a really good meal. And right now it's with people like, I cook, I do fancy, but I also put a fucking roast chicken in the oven.
Yeah.
Some fresh vegetables. We're blessed here with the produce that we have in California.
Yeah.
You can go get, some nice, good potatoes, carrots, onion, leeks, a roast chicken, put some butter on it, stuff it with, and it's a meal. It's a homemade.
Dude, this could easily just be a food podcast the way you and I love
right.
it. That's why I love what you do too. Like even the day that you had me on Cluster Bravado, it was like, this gorgeous piece of trout, or what was it?
Yeah, the salmon. Yeah,
salmon. Yeah, with gnocchi and just blistered cherry tomatoes, simple and perfect.
Right.
Like Ken used to say to me when I worked with him at the Grove, make me a perfectly juicy chicken, like you said a minute ago, and then show me your fancy shit.
Right, exactly.
But first, just show me what a great chicken tastes like cooked properly,
But I think it's also I was invited to a French place that just, to make an omelet. Because I make a killer omelet. But, it's an omelet. Just perfect that. And
no color, right?
No.
Yeah, that almost got to be light, fluffy, like the sunrise.
Yeah, exactly. But that's something that, if you're a little passionate, but homemade, something that you made from your heart, from your kitchen, serve it to your friends, it changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes relationships. And so I carry that throughout the food, throughout the furniture. Art is the same thing. I collect art that most of the time I know the artist because there is a history, there is a passion. When I look at something, I know that person made it, that they carved that piece of steel and cast it in bronze, or they painted that. Yeah, it's the people.
It does make a difference too. I always say, I'm a sucker for the story.
Right, exactly.
When they tell me this cologne smells like the where they transported ballet shoes in the hall across the Atlantic, I'm like, right. Like the story of like you said, the person behind it does matter.
But it does matter. I think that there's a big, especially right now with the AI and all that, and the debates that we'll all have. And it's because people want to know who's behind. And I still believe that's what matters to us human.
Connection.
It's connection.
This stuff is going to be more valuable than ever when you don't know what's real anymore.
Right.
It's going to matter.
And so it's, that's what we do. And so from there, I started a podcast with Elise Cizek. And so we have Clutter Bravado, and that has renewed. Elise came to me, said, "Hey, I'm wanting to start a podcast." I'm like, "That's a great idea in design and art." I'm like, "That's a great idea." It's like, "Would you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you want to use the apartment, that's what it's for." It's like, "Would you be on it with me?" And I'm like, "Camera, me talking? No." And of course, she smiled, and I was like, "Oh, okay." It took her about 30 seconds to convince me, but that opened up a window into sitting down with people. Was just all people that I've known. Not all, but the vast majority of people I've known for a long time. And you learn and you discover, and you are our first guest. Thank you. But the connection that you get through those conversations is huge. And then you get, we do lunch after. And so that moment, it's a 2-hour window of sharing deep conversation with.
And what is the main thing you think people are getting out of watching Cluster or listening to Cluster Bravado? Like, what is the takeaway for you, or the hopeful takeaway?
It's evolved. At first it was very design oriented. Like, we didn't really know where the conversation was going to go. Now it's become really a love letter to California and LA specifically, but California, because we've been up to San Francisco a couple times to interview people up there. And I realized that I love the state. I've been here for 31 years. I love the people that have been in my life. I genuinely love them. You and I, we don't, but the moments we've spent, be it in Malibu or dinner, and it's been always magical. So it's a love letter to California. And it's
you're mostly designers, right? Like, so people that have aesthetic sensibility.
It's creatives too. We've had someone who makes perfume head, which was fantastic. We had a couple actors, a few artists, photographers, and we're growing to creatives. All the people that make the state.
Yeah.
What it is. It's like, I'm going to look for someone who makes Olival in the state. It's like the passion of the creatives. There's people that make fabric. There's, we interview people who make lighting fixtures, all made here.
What have you found to be the through line through all of them, whether it's the perfume company, the art dealer, the furniture maker, the interior designer? What tends to be the common thread?
I think that for all of us make it, we don't do it for ourselves. We share it for others. I also think that there's a passion, there's an optimism in all of us. That's just, we're go-getters, and, there are ups and downs. There's, times where you're like,
yeah.
But we wake up in the morning the day after and we go deeper and we try to tweak it, and we never stop. None of those people stop.
Well, and what I love about it too is they're all doing something that nobody's ever seen or heard of or thought of before, for the most part. And that's what makes it so beautiful, because you have to have faith and optimism and the belief of what you're bringing to light, because it's not obvious and it hasn't been done usually.
And it's also that everyone has a different aspect. We ask, what do you notice when you walk into a space? And we've had 54 interviews, and, we had 154 different answers. Everybody reacts to, sees things differently and has a different point of view on, even if it's design or art. I mean, we did have someone who does AI art, which, I don't agree with most of it, but the conversation was interesting, because there were thoughts that I was like, oh, I never thought about that way, and we had a playwright and an actor, Eric Toms, not that long ago. It was fascinating because that was a slightly different, that's a different field from really but he's a creative, and you feel the same. There's no difference with creatives.
Well,
they are, there's still that passion. There's still that optimism, because how many no's, how many, things you fail at. I mean, and I think that's the thing, is that no matter how much you fail, everybody goes back into it and be like, no, it's going to.
The best thing I ever heard was fail often, fail fast.
Right, exactly. And
don't hang on when it's not working, unless you really believe you can make it work. So move on quickly and be okay with it. And failure becomes kind of exciting. I mean, I've had a lot of respect for you, because I think you've been very successful and you're very brilliant, but you're also just constantly like you pick yourself up quickly. And speaking of that, let's pivot for a second. So one of the things that's amazing about your place is you walk in and one of the first things you see is a bar.
Oh, it's
a bar that feels like I'm back somewhere in your home country of France.
Yeah.
Some little hidden away Art Deco speakeasy. But that bar has a different meaning for you now.
I work at it, and I look at, I got sober 2.5 years ago, a little bit.
Dude, has it been 2.5 years?
Yes.
I remember when you came to my
I think I built
boys'
more 3.5 years ago.
Oh, so you did get a good year after?
I got a good year.
Well, that's good.
I got, it's like, look, alcohol and I got a good use of it, no matter what. No regret there. But yeah, a year and something later, I got sober. And so now I have a certain pleasure at working at the bar and looking at all those bottles, be like, oh.
But that's amazing, because what's amazing about you is he still is the hostess with the mostest. I mean, you're still doing a cocktail of the night and you're taking care of everybody, but you're able to. So that's my big question for you. So this podcast is about the circle of control. Yeah. I am as passionate about it as you are about laying that perfect chair leg or whatever. When we focus on what we can control, our circle keeps growing, our life keeps getting better. When we focus outside the circle, politics, climate change, these things that are so important, but if we're not willing to do something or we can't, you start crushing your circle with all that worry. So what I'm fascinated about and would love you to talk about for people is, how has that concept of the circle of control changed for you by being sober? How did it help you get sober?
That's been huge. Sobriety has come, obviously it was at a low point, but the process of changing your life when, you have to get sober, I didn't do it just because it was like I wanted to lose a couple of pounds. As a result, I did, but the impetus was not just I need to look better. What happens then for me, and I'll just, speak about my experience at that point,
of course,
is that I had, all that energy suddenly, all that time that, was spent on either drinking or figuring out when I was going to start drinking or recovering from drinking, all that time, which was a substantial amount of time. I got all that energy and all that time. And so you have to change, your life has to change. I mean, there's no way you can stay the same. And your brain changes also, I believe that. So it was, the meditation, it was, you have to implement all those things and all those steps in your day to keep you growing, I guess, because it's a regrowth. I mean, for me,
Regrowth.
it
I
was a
love that.
regrowth. And so, suddenly your body starts, you start controlling your body first. I think that at least for me, it's like, okay, I don't have the alcohol, so I'm going to start taking care of myself, my body, and then your mind, meditation every morning, because you have the energy, because you wake up in the morning, you feel like clear headed and you can
Just to
sit
feel
down.
good, right? To wake up feeling
good. And so, there was meditation, which opens up the door to, many other things once you start into it. There's a new community, which is very funny because when you talk about my dinner parties, I used to, empty, bottles of wine and alcohol. Now I empty bottles of sparkling water. And I'm like, what? No one drinks? And I realized that I was I was like the pusher of the thing. So
You're like, 9 of those 10 bottles are me.
right, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, shit, but all those things change. And so, and then the outside, the external part, you have to kind of let them go a little bit. And, letting go is a big
Is that
part.
and does that relate to kind of inside the circle, outside the circle?
Outside the circle, you start to let go, because I guess I couldn't mitigate stress with alcohol. So you have to deal with your stress in a different way.
I love that. Yeah. Talk more about that, because that's a great point. By staying in the circle, you're not needing to medicate
as much
when you're focused outside.
Right. Because you can't medicate. You need to stay focused on your sobriety at first. I mean, especially for anybody who starts with that, I mean, sobriety needs to be your main focus. So you focus on that. And obviously I had a program, and, I followed that. I think that then there's suddenly your community grows, because, you're out a little bit more, and you can go out 3 nights or 4 nights a week and come back at 10:15
and sleep well
and do it again the day after, instead of,
How
at the time.
interesting. By being sober, you could socialize more and better.
But exactly, because at the time I would come home, 1:15. By the time, the day after, I'd be like, I'm not. And then you discover a new community of sober people that, you get in touch with. That's a great community of people. I mean, it's really interesting. It's all people that I've also gone, all people, a lot of people that have gone through and I've made, some big changes, and I've gone, I've dug deep to figure out what their, however we're going to say it, their disease was, and brought them to. So it's, you have really deep conversation with people that I didn't have when I was a bar guy.
Well said. I love that too. Deeper connection, because you're not
Much
having
deeper.
surface or up conversations.
You remember the day after, you remember your conversation instead of being like, what did I say yesterday?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
did I see?
Oh, did I see? Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking to you. Did I see you?
And so a new community, you grow a new set of habits that are really focused on you. And so, and for example, it's true that, we live in a world where we have too much information coming at you from every angle. And I don't. The one thing that I've come to realize is that all that information that's coming at you, I take it into consideration. It's true that the climate change, I've changed my way of making furniture, for example. I'm aware of it. I try to be as conscious about that. I think that, politics, I have my views, and we're trying right now to see if the podcast can help give a voice to different perspective, but, be able to support that, where I'm supporting, a couple charities. So I'm doing some
I love
things
that.
like that.
See, I love the way you say that, like climate change. I can't personally stop climate change.
Yeah,
but I can start choosing my materials better.
Right, exactly.
Boom. Inside the,
we choose our materials better. We choose our foam better. We make sure that, even the power. I mean, it's like, we've changed some of the electrical and all that stuff, so we use less power.
That's good, because AI needs that power.
Exactly. So it's little things like that where I'm like, okay, well, I believe that, that's what I can do to, impact my little community. But, I try not to delve into it. And if I get, and technology is a little bit like, I mean, I treat it a little bit for me like alcohol. I mean, it can be an addiction for sure. And I make sure that it stays where it's supposed to be. It's useful.
Interesting. Has sobriety helped you with that? I never really thought about that, but does sobriety and going through those steps or that process does that automatically make you better at not being addicted to social media or to?
I don't know if it makes me better, but it makes me aware.
Right.
I'm a lot more aware of my brain when it's overloaded with the constant flux of, politics that's coming my way.
Right.
But it's true that there are things like, and look, again, I'm not going to be political about it, but what's happening right now at the White House, which is, uh, taking down an historic building. Is it good or bad? I'm not going to go there, but I work with people here in LA to try to help them give a voice to preserve historical architecture.
Yeah.
And that's, you see that, you're like, yeah, there's still work to be done because we can't, destroy and rebuild and, not take care of our history. I'm as you know, I'm a proud French guy, even though I've been here for 31 years, but I'm a proud Angelino now. I want to be proud of my city. I'm proud of, the people that are in this city.
Well said.
And, that's part of it. The architecture and the art is part of our history. It's part of our identity.
Yeah.
And so those are little things that I'm like, you pick up on it. I don't need to go read and listen to all the outrages. I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with it. Let's see what I can do. Make sure that, someone.
See, I love that attitude. I love that you're saying that because, like, we all have our belief, but I always say, like, strong beliefs loosely held. Like, it's important to have strong beliefs, but like, if we don't try to find common ground or connect with people, we're doomed.
Oh yeah.
Like, I love the way you said that. Like, hey, I don't necessarily agree with what they're doing, but like, I'm not going to be here to say is it good or bad. That's not for me to judge. I have my opinion, but ultimately, what is the other side of it? What is the other side of it? I'm always thinking that these days as I get older, my default, instead of like trying to be right or trying to make you understand my point, I'm really trying to default to what can I learn from what I don't know.
Right. And we all, talking, and you've talked to, you talk to a lot of people, you realize that if you remove, not for everybody, I mean, let me preface that. I do have strong opinions about things that are very important to me.
Of course. And
that is I have a red line that if you go past that, I'm not interested. I'm not going to pay attention, but I'm really not interested in your opinion.
Right.
You can just go yourself.
Well, being French, you have to have.
Right. I'm now, if you stay within the reason and you're outside of my comfort zone to my red line, I will reach out. And once you're in that mode and you remove the stories and you remove, the superficial, things that people believe, you can find common ground because we're all on this planet I think the search of happiness is for everybody to try to, get there, and you can break barriers that way for sure.
Well said. Yeah. You made me visually, I'm picturing the circle with just this gray zone of buffer because
there's a buffer.
There's a gray zone, like where you're dipping in and out of the circle.
Right.
But getting sober, what were the things outside the circle that you had to not focus on to be able to get sober? Or is that a challenge for people going through sobriety? Do they tend to like just hang on to things outside of their control, or what do they?
No, I think that I'll talk for me. I mean, getting sober became not a full-time job, but it became for a while the most important thing is I could do. It was to, it's like build my life as a sober person.
Yeah.
It's also that you discover things like it's one day at a time, which one day at a time can be also used in your business, can be used with relationship with people. It's one day at a time. And, the tomorrow will be, for example, I should that, not drinking is an hour at a time, a minute at a time at some time, or a day at a time. I mean, that's a big rule. When someone pisses you off, one day at a time, because tomorrow you will feel differently. That email that you didn't send or that phone call that you didn't give that day, because did they piss you off? Yeah, they did. Did they do something wrong? Possibly. Did they deserve to be, treated like No, it didn't need to happen. The day after, you can find you have a completely different perspective. Be like, okay, well, they up, but you know what? I did up a little bit on that too. Let's count to a middle ground. So you use some of those things yourself. But so the circle, by getting sober, you refocus a lot on yourself. And then there's the service, which is still focusing on yourself, but helping others. Either get sober, or it's true that I'm spending more time with a couple charities because I give back. I'm trying to give back.
Love that.
And so it does allow you to have a lot of things that focus on your environment,
Yeah.
and that's your community, your close community, your friends, your sober community. Suddenly all those things become really important, and you spend a little bit less time dreaming or, talking about things that you have zero control over, but suddenly, because you have a couple of drinks, you become, and I used to be very good at it. Trust me, I was so smart, and so much smarter than everybody else. It was scary.
Dude, just listening to you is so beautiful, like, because you really do have, since you've been so, have such great clarity, and everything you're saying is, I really respect it. I mean, you're very able to see, I can hear it in, your description, see both sides of things. You don't start with the judgment, you start with maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Could be. But here's what I'll think tomorrow, and that's a great way to be, because everyone these days is so ready to judge immediately. Like, I already, have it all figured out without any information. It's like, whoa.
I also think that, again, my sobriety, I was so sure of myself for so long. And once you get to be like, you take all that down and you start to rebuild. So you're like, okay, well, let's put it this way. I'm going to take it, I'm not going to be so sure of anything for a while. Because you don't get there about it, And I think that's, for me, was healthy to be able to take a step back and be like, okay, let's focus on what matters.
And that's part of what you're talking about with, like, your mind improving. You said physically, of course, you've improved. I mean, I've watched you lose weight and get, back to rips. But that's a great example of your mind improving. But like you said, you're taking that energy back that was going into the wrong things.
And I also waited for quite some time to get sober. So definitely on the later side. And, brain is a big thing. I mean, your brain health is a huge thing for me. And, being able to sleep at night better, wake up in the morning, do my routine, there's.
And dude, you went from literally doing almost nothing physically to now you're boxing,
right. But that's always, we've known each other a lot with that. It's always been, for me, but now it's a, mental health thing where I go, I do work out almost on a daily basis and spend that hour. The same thing. I go to a gym. I know so many people from that gym. I've built connection from that gym, that relationship. It's been incredible.
How's it affected your business being sober? Or has it?
I don't know that it has.
Interesting.
On the, yet. I think that there's definitely changes. There's still, there's a lot more time. I think that, business, unfortunately, and I'm a functioning alcoholic.
Right.
So I was able to show up, for my business. I was not able to show up for anything else. That's the problem.
But do you think you're better with your crew now? And
yeah, I mean, I'm a lot calmer, for example. Right. I'm calmer even with things that happen within the business. I mean, we all have, those days where you get, 2 shitty emails and then you screwed up on something and, someone screwed you up on something and, it's the small business life. It doesn't affect me as much as it used to. I'm able to go, more to the solution instead of spiraling out of control and be like, oh my God. And, can you imagine that he said that? Now I'm like, okay, let's find the solution because I don't want to waste any time.
See, I love that you said that too, dude, because that's like my biggest thing. I call it the storytelling. The book we have coming out, my co-author and I, The Reduction, basically it's about reduction is getting everything, all the water out of your life. Right? Like a great sauce is great because it's cooked down. The water goes away, the flavors come on, right?
Right.
And doing that, you got to stay in the circle and you got to stop telling stories because like you just said it so perfectly, right?
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to let that go because I think it's important for people to hear that. Most people default to the whole backstory. I can't believe he or she would say that. And why would they do that? I wonder if it's because I did this. And do they think, and they go into this whole thing that spirals. And the truth is, it's what you said. Let's just fix it.
Yeah. Let's
like, we don't need to know the backstory. Like, what can we do? What can I choose to do right now to move this forward?
And I think that, that's part of it is also with meditation and trying to figure out where, you're in the shower and suddenly you have that conversation with someone that is not there. and you're getting all pissed up about, this email. And, it's nice to be able to sit back and be like, this is that conversation. is not happening. There's nothing real there. I don't need to get stressed. I'm just going to, shower and I'll figure out the solution. But yeah, I think that, and maybe it is a little bit with sobriety and it's a little bit with age and, to be able to focus on finding the solution so that you can focus on what's important. And, in some respect, be it friends, family, business, everybody has a long list of things that are important for their life. And that's where you need to focus your energy on. The rest, yeah, it's not all those Instagram posts about, it's not going to improve your life. I'm sorry. Now spending, making dinner and spending time with, your loved ones, that's going to, in the long run, change your life.
As I say, bring joy, baby.
Right, bring joy.
What we control more than anything, which you do brilliantly, is everywhere you go in a 20-foot radius, spreading joy, being of service, being of value. And if everyone does that, those 20-foot circles will start connecting and we'll all be there.
And being supportive. That's the other thing so through sobriety and the sober community that I've built around me, the support of those people is tremendous. I mean, I would not be sober if it was not for.
Dude, my son's been through this too, and I can't wait to do a podcast with him as well. But that's what I learned from listening to him, listening to you, other friends that are being sober. Wow.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's the ultimate example of what community and connection will do.
And I find it there, in my design business, the design community is tremendous. I mean, it's like the support that I've had from so many people is so strong, and we support each other, and then I've discovered a little bit of acting because of Elise is an actor. So she's brought me to this world. And same thing, that community is so supportive because, they eat shit like on a daily basis and they show up. They show up for each other. They show up for themselves and they fight. I mean, even more, I think, than the design community. And so I think that, and we discovered that because I think right now that as a kid, if you go back to being a kid, there's a lot of, you have your friends, you support, you're in your soccer team or
right.
There's that optimism that I think, and that support that we lose a little bit maybe when, it's like you have a family and you have kids and you close in a little bit and you spend a little bit less time with outside people and you kind of lose a little bit that. And I found it again.
It's funny you say that because I just heard somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they said a brilliant thing. They said it's 3 places. We used to always have 3 places: a work community, a home life,
right,
and then church, we'll call it, because that's what it was for people. And you just nailed it. You're exactly right. Same idea. Like people have gone more inward. We lost the work community because of the COVID stuff. We lost the church community because a lot of people aren't on board with religion anymore. So you're left with just home, which is not enough. So for you, that one of those 3 places now has become the sober community, which is awesome.
And, I mean, church by all means, but there's so many other places where you can get that community.
Exactly.
And it's like,
which
you don't need to go to church. You don't need to be religious. To have a community of, exactly. To have a community of people that are, explore. I mean, like for me, I'm 6 years old. I go to, acting classes.
I love that.
And I'm the dinosaur in there, but you know what? I'm not doing it for myself. I'm seeing a whole community of people that are just fascinating and creative and trying and writing and putting things in place that they're paying for because they want, it's fascinating. Be there, support those people.
Yeah.
The artist community that I know, all those artists that do shows and, put all their money in their art and they put up their shows, go see them, talk to them, see that community. Sports, I mean, hell, there are gyms everywhere in this town, build your community.
Those are our places. Those are our new 3 places.
Yeah. Build this community or church or, or charity. There are charities that need volunteers. They all get together. They all think alike. So it's and that's a big thing for our podcast. And, it's online and, you listen to it hopefully while you're driving. And after that, just park your car and go see someone and go talk to them. And, and it could be, your barista, go talk to him because that will change your life.
It's so funny you say the barista, even I've said this on other podcasts, but I always make a point of saying this because I think it's part of spreading that circle of joy. I love to try to make a difference in the cashier's life. a barista's life.
Yeah.
Anybody I cross for 2 minutes, and it needs to be sincere, but when I truly see like something they're wearing that says something about who they are, I love to call it out.
Right.
And they really enjoy that. Or just being pleasant.
Be
right?
pleasant.
Like I saw this woman slam her latte cup down to the barista, take off the lid, and say, "Does that look like no foam to you?" I was this close to like saying to that woman, "Is your life that?"
Right, exactly.
That foam is your reason to blow up on this poor girl who's working her butt off with 50 tickets up. But like the opposite is just, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for, looks like, I always say that to them. Gosh, it's amazing how much product you're putting out. You're incredible. And you're still smiling. Thank you. Like those little things can make a difference in people's lives.
And I think that it's, yesterday I was at the supermarket and talking to the cashier and we talked about his day and my day and that he had 15 minutes left. And, and I've seen him a couple of times and so we chat, go talk to people and same thing. I mean, I don't know. So social media has been, I don't know that it's been neutral, but I'm not paying a lot of, I mean, I think it's brought me enough in terms of information that I've been able to use or, connection with people, and it has taken out hours of that I should have probably been reading but so it's like, if you put it together, most likely it's borderline neutral. But one thing I know for sure is that it's not improving my life.
Yeah.
Improving my life is going to an antique store or going to a design store or going to a design event or going to, listen to, I mean, look, what are we? We are Thursday, Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I went to an event in LA, a concert, a band.
Yeah.
It uplifted my soul 5,000 times.
Yeah.
Listening to bands perform, seeing all the people singing and dancing and cheering.
God, we need that.
That uplifted my mood by, by 1,000.
Yeah. Most people don't get done scrolling and then feel invigorated.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, if I had spent an hour and a half on social media or, reading, New York Times, my mood would not have been. It also, I think, gets you to see how the world really is. I mean, we have all those creative people. We have all those fascinating people that are just magic.
Yep.
Human can be magic.
Yep.
And I think that by trying to get out a little bit and trying to, maybe get out of your comfort zone too, it doesn't, going to, joining a gym when you haven't worked out in a long time. I mean, hell, I showed up there and I was like, I'm going to do my 10 pounds on the inside, humble. Yeah. I'm not going to get injured. And I'm, and I was lucky that I was in a gym where everybody was so supportive and, they brought me up to, now I feel good, but, it was uncomfortable. It was like, oh, and then there's the stories.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm older.
Right.
I'm out of shape.
Right.
What am I doing here?
Right.
And, those are stories that we tell each other, just, I don't know why, but, go. Go. On Tuesday, I went to an event where it was not really my scene per se.
Yeah.
I had a magical time.
You made it your scene.
Magical time.
Well, that's the thing. I really think it's important. Like, we all have to remember that we still have the control of choice. The universe is going to do what it's going to do. Right. You can't control what's going to happen, but you can control your choices. You can choose to I'm going to go to that event and be uncomfortable, and it ends up being something great. But I also believe too, with like social media and all these things, I mean, yes, these companies need to be way more regulated and more responsible.
Oh, yeah.
And just like alcohol, it wasn't the enemy. You took control of your life. Right. And I think I love that you're looking away. I want to hear the opposite of this thought. But my thought is, we have to all also really own our behavior, right? Like, I love social media. I only go on it a half hour a day. My feed is full of inspiring stuff. Right. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? And I think that's important to remember, that we still have control. Like, social media is not the enemy. Alcohol is not the enemy. Other people aren't the enemy. What I choose to do and how I choose to react is what I control. Give me the other side of that.
No. I mean, I think that it is true up to a point. For example, for alcohol, which I am not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I don't know if a glass of wine is good for me or not. And I obviously,
that's not your goal.
That's not my goal. But there's problems with social media. There are problems with alcohol.
Definitely.
There are problems,
Definitely.
So, and I think that we are fed through advertisement, there's just a lot of it. That's at some point, yes, we do have control. I mean, ultimately, you're right that as a human being, you have the possibility to shut everything down.
It'd be nice to have it be a little easier.
But exactly, it'd be nice if, it's like, and I think that, all those companies, I'm trying to be a big advocate of common sense. Like,
What concept?
Trying to run my life as much as I can with the simple thing of common sense,
right?
Which I obviously had lost when, in the height of my drinking thing. But, now I'm like, let's try to have, I'm trying to run it all, and be sensible.
So let's wrap this up with that thought. Finish by talking about how you see common sense and what that looks like. Because that's a valuable statement and it's so cliche, but like, I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, I think that, the common sense is that, look, we had, for example, fantastic writers who are history, all the way to, the Greeks to now. I mean, there are people that are brilliant. Their brain is brilliant. They write, just read a book. Read a book. I don't care. A month. I don't, it doesn't need to be right.
All of the knowledge of the world is in book.
Right. And it doesn't need to be like read, 52 books and, and have the reading list and all that stuff. Try to read a book a month. And maybe, you know what? Even easier, download an audiobook and buy the book and do both. And, at that point, I mean, in LA, the amount of driving we do, you'll get through a couple
plenty
books.
Of audiobooks.
You'll get through plenty of audiobooks. It makes your reading a little bit easier because you've already listened to it. So it's like, your brain.
That's what I do with the New Earth. I've loved, Eckhart Tolle and all that. Right. But at night, I listen to the New Earth audio, even though I've read and heard it 100 times because it just drills in.
But my point with common sense is that, I'm not saying, eat healthy every day. But 90% of the time, if you eat healthy, it just changes your life. And we know how to eat healthy. I mean, it's like, there's things we know that are bad for you. I mean, drinking, if you have a glass of wine and, it doesn't impact anything, please be my guest. Now, if suddenly you wake up every morning with a hangover, you look at it and be like, hey, maybe I need to be honest with myself, use common sense. It's too much alcohol. Social media is the same way. I think that social media can be great. If you spend 3 hours and it's not your job, you look at it and be like, common sense. You're like, oh shit, I'm spending too much time. If, all you can do is, sit on the couch, watch TV or, video games. I'm sure video games are great. I'm lucky that, it's like when we grew up, it was Atari and Pac-Man. So it was hard to get addicted, even though I probably spent super time on Pac-Man. But so I can't imagine how it is now to have, whatever, Call of Duty or something like that. I was like, Space Invader, beep, beep. So I did it. I figured that it's, it is ludic. It's great. But, if that's all you can do, maybe look at it and be like, oh shit, I need to go out and,
Dude, I love that. Like common sense. Just does this make sense?
Right.
If it doesn't, what choice can I make to change it?
And it's the same thing with, and then you can push that to further. I mean, it's like, look at your beliefs and really, if they don't make any sense, just start thinking for yourself. And as you read more books and you read more articles instead of, whatever X, the 30, the whatever it's 90.
Which one?
The X is like 90 words or something. It's like, don't get your information.
And that, like Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. Don't get your information with tweets. I'm like,
Bravo.
Just read, and
I love that.
Again,
common sense. It's a common sense to have an opinion or get worked up over many letters.
Read the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. I don't care which side of it.
Yeah.
But, there are people that write for the Wall Street Journal that are brilliant. I mean, it's like, do I agree with some of their, no, I don't, but, I can read them and be like, oh shit,
See, I love that, dude. That's the note to end on. Use common sense.
Right.
Like whatever you read, whatever you listen to, whatever you see happening in your life, just stop and go, does this really make sense? And if not, where do we go from here?
And again, it's not perfection. It's progress.
Oh, I love that, dude. It's not perfection. It's progress.
I am
every day,
flawed.
Just a little bit.
I am the most flawed person you will know. I'm trying
to get competition with you.
I will try to get slightly better today. And a little bit better, maybe tomorrow, and reflect on that. And that's it. So I'm not giving, lessons and be like, oh, look at these
Perfectly said, dude.
says, man, I'm all up, but
That's the best thing you could say. I so agree. I always say, am I a little better than I was last week?
right.
Can I cringe at my former self and smile and know that it's okay because I'm better now?
Yeah.
Love you, brother. Any last thoughts you want to share? Because we're both of service. We want people to get.
I'm so happy. Thank you for having me on my first podcast.
Yay! No,
A guest.
it's a guest. I was going to say,
Guest, yeah.
you're natural as a host.
As a guest, and otherwise, Clutter Bravado is on Instagram. So
Yeah.
Listen to us and Elise. She's absolutely
and everyone
fantastic.
really should check out Clutter Bravado because Elise is. You guys are such a dynamic duo because you have such different energies, and it's really entertaining and it's really thoughtful, and
she has brilliant questions, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. So
we all need to elevate our aesthetics because at the end of the day, what you surround yourself with, including the way your thoughts, makes your life great or not.
And then I'll shut up. The same way as cooking, where be thoughtful. It doesn't need to be caviar on eggs. It can be just a homemade salad. Your interior is the same thing. Buy something you like. It does not need to be expensive.
Wow.
But buy something you like. Put a candle. Light up a candle. It doesn't. You do a simple salad and light up a candle and have your better half for dinner.
Perfect. Well, we're not going to have the candle, but I'm about to make a choice.
Cool.
Well, yeah.
Love you.